We have with us Jeff Buchanan from Jigsaw Technology. Welcome, Jeff.
Welcome, Phil. Thank you.
Networking schools. A lot of schools have got a proliferation of technology, workstations, computers, and many schools say to me, you know, we really need to build a network, but we don't know how to start. And you're going to answer some of those questions for us, I hope, today, Jeff.
Hopefully all we're going to do today is just find out what computer networks will do for you. Okay. How they will introduce technology into the classroom and what functionality you can expect from them. We're not going to actually design anything.
Right.
We're not going to get into three-letter anachronisms.
Right.
Because that's what computers love, computer people like to talk about. Mm-hmm. We're just going to show you what are the benefits of networking, what it's going to do for you, and what are the things you should consider when you're investigating putting in a school network.
Okay. And so this is a two-part segment, so next time we will have a look at some of the nuts and bolts and
more in-depth,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, the design considerations you need to take into account, work groups, concepts, amount of data that's handling over the network. Mm-hmm. But that's next week.
Okay, all right. So let's get started. Introduction to networking your school.
Hi, Jigsaw Technology is just an IT solutions provider. We are Information Technology Solutions. That's all that IT stands for. That's the only two-letter acronym I'll use.
Okay.
The definition of a network, as described in the book Networking for Dummies, which is what we've all read, is two or more intelligent devices sharing information. That's basically what a network is. Mm-hmm. It's making the ability for anyone to share information across a wide area network or a local area network of a school. And it's really about sharing information. Mm-hmm. The advantages of having a network are, firstly, you can share all the resources from a central point. You don't have to have multiple copies of software. You don't have to have multiple copies of information. It's all in one point. You can distribute it across the network.
So for an easy example, an encyclopedia on CD, you wouldn't need CDs on every machine. You could have it on a central location and that could be accessed.
Exactly.
Right.
Or if something not like an encyclopedia, the Sydney Morning Herald, right. If you want to update the Sydney Morning Herald, you can just put it in the CD stack and then share it out across the school. Great. You don't have 50 or 60 copies.
Okay.
It's a great one for putting up a school intranet to give more information out to the teacher and the pupils. It also allows you to give emails into the electronic age. And it all
saves on staff meetings and things.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And it lets everyone who wasn't there know what actually went on.
Right.
Saves on paper and saves the Amazon. So those are some of the advantages of networks. Most importantly, the advantage of a network is the ability to centralize the security. You no longer have to have security on individual desktops from a network. You can centralize one point of security, which is one of the big things that schools are coming into, because they can't have one computer coordinator trying to manage...
running around trying to manage 30, 50, 100 machines.
Yes, yes, exactly. And CD-ROM caching, that means you can copy for the popular CDs onto the file server and get a faster data bus path.
Okay, so that means to people that they can access the software easily and quickly.
Yes,
really.
Exactly, exactly. And now the disadvantages of networks. Unfortunately, they cost money, which is obviously the one thing. The specifications, you need to design one properly so you get exactly what you want and pay for, and the expectations are fine. The installation requires a little bit of planning and careful procedures to follow there, and the department has guidelines. And it requires, unfortunately, maintenance.
Right.
Once you put in a network, you do need to maintain it.
It's not set and forget?
Not exactly, no. If you want to tweak it, if you want to add to it, if you want to subtract from it, if you want to change it, there is a maintenance. The things that make up a computer network are obviously the cabling. That's what connects the computers together. We'll talk about them in a minute. The hardware, such as the file server, right, hub switches, and we'll get a lot into them next week. Software, the network operating systems, whether you're running peer-to-peer, whether you're running a file server, whether you're running a client server.
So this is separate software to what you might have on your machine, or the software that you would run for word processing. It's the software that will do all the printing across the network and share all the files across the network.
It's specifically designed to connect a whole lot of computers together in an organised, orderly manner without creating anarchy. The first type of way that we connect computers together is the old style, and that's with coax cabling. Coax was first introduced in the 50s. It's cheap, it's slow, and when you connect computers with coax in a peer-to-peer network, it's like an old Christmas tree. If one computer goes down, they all go down.
It looks a lot like the cable that you have on your TV set.
It does, but it's not.
Right, okay.
Technically, that's 75 ohm impedance, the other one's 50 ohm impedance, or the other way around, but they're different.
Right.
The second way that you can connect computers together, and what's all companies, commercial and government, are going for is what they call UTP. UTP is unshielded twisted pair, and it comes in the standardizations of 10 base T, 10 being the speed, base being the connection, and T being the terminator, UTP, unshielded twisted pair.
So this will give you better performance than the coax?
Definitely. The coax can only go to 10 megabits. This can go to 100 megabits.
Okay, so when we talk about megabits, it's got to do with speed. This will serve up speed much faster than the coax will.
Exactly, yeah.
And on the downside, why not go with the coax? To save money.
Yeah, the downside would be to save money. It's cheap, it's easy, but once again, if you set a coax system in, if one computer goes down, they all go down.
Right, okay, and if it's the first one in the line, it could be a whole lab or half the school.
If it's the first one, the last one, or the middle one, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If one goes down, they all go down. The whole lot goes down. Secondly, the connection, why you connect them with this, is a RJ45, which is the style that everyone uses. You can use it for phone, you can use it for video, and you can use it also for data.
So look, the connector actually looks a lot like the telephone connection that you'd have at home, but larger.
Yes, yeah, it's just very similar.
Okay.
Those are the speeds they come into. Category 5 is what, once again, everyone's standardising on. There are more categories and there are slower categories, but Category 5 is the industry standard at the moment. It simply looks like this. You have a number of computers connected together and you put a hub or a switch in the centre, and that distributes the data across the network. Then you can connect hubs together with fibre. Fibre looks like this. It's amazing. That holds a 100 megabit data path with a 2 gigabyte bandwidth. It's
so
incredibly
this is really fast.
It is very fast, and you need that to connect buildings together.
Okay.
Finally, you have the hardware, which is the server. It sits in the corner. It's never turned off. It's what holds the brains in the information and controls the whole unit. And on the server that you connect to the network, you cache your CDs for sharing lots of titles, and it allows you to connect other sorts of devices such as the internet, put the intranet on there, or have a CD stacker connected.
Okay. So a server is like the heart of the whole network. It holds the files.
It's the heart and the brains.
Heart and brain?
All in one.
Okay, so it holds the files, and it could be your own files, or it could be the software that you're running. It has the CD-ROMs connected to it. It could have the internet connected to it.
All of the above. Yeah, depending on the functionalities you want is the amount of resources that you put onto the actual server. You can have multiple servers, and depending on the software that you run on the server is what functionality it gives you at the desktop. Most software network operating systems will limit the user as to what it can do on the desktop. So you can lock them out from changing screensavers, from changing background colors, from accessing certain files, from accessing certain directories, all given by the user logon. And we'll get into that next week on the actual types of network operating systems that are available.
Great.
But most importantly, and you can connect a whole lot of other things, but most importantly is the type of design that you have and put it together. You should, when you're selecting a network, have a clear-cut idea of what you want to do. You should put one person or a number of people with a leader in charge of your IT direction. Someone has to have the game plan. If you're just going along and trying to connect them all together, it makes it very difficult and you'll lose your way. Someone keeps on moving the goalposts and the rules change.
So planning is everything.
Planning is the most important and crucial part of putting in a network and making it do what you want.
Having a goal about what you want to achieve, you know, not necessarily what we can afford this month, but what we really want to achieve. These are all the things that we'd ideally like to have, and identifying what needs to happen.
Right, and the processes that need to transpire in order for those to happen, and setting up a list of objectives. Once you've got that done, involve the P&C, because that's a valuable resource that you can use for the school in pulling cable, in setting up the network. You should also keep them informed as to what's going on, and most importantly, speak to your technological advisor that is at the school.
So many schools have a technical advisor that would advise the schools, you know, over a district or something like that, and usually they would be involved in many schools that would be networking.
And a teacher is primarily a teacher there to inform the students, not to be a technological guru. That's the technological advisor's job. They're keeping informed as what's going on.
Okay.
Set a budget. Once you've got your game plan together, set a budget. Then after you've decided what you want to do with your budget, select a couple of IT solutions houses to come in. They will give you certain objectives and certain what they think they can do for the money that you have. Once you've done that, select a few of these to quote, and then of course rework the budget.
And I guess you should really submit exactly the same plan to each of the providers that you're getting a
That
quote
would make
from.
a fair playing field, and
Because,
I'm sure
yeah,
everyone
that's right.
does. I'm sure everyone does. And that's most importantly, to understand the responsibilities of what the school's responsibilities are and what the IT solution provider's responsibilities.
And it'll save a lot of confusion within the school. You know, when different providers are saying, well, they can provide this and that, it's hard to compare.
Exactly, and also have it all put in writing. And when is the handover, and what sort of training are they going to give, and what sort of support and follow-up they're going to give, and most importantly, how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
Because
so be as specific as possible with all the detail.
Yes.
Okay.
And choose someone that you get along with, because it's a real marriage that you form with your solutions
You'll be seeing
provider.
a lot of these people.
Yes, personalities are not going to make or break it, but they do have an influence in it. So make sure you get along with the person that's going to do it.
Okay.
And they have the same sort of mindset.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What
And
next?
The next is good luck.
Yeah, right.
Most importantly, and I think from this whole thing, is it's not too big, it's not too hard. Have a game plan. If you fail to plan, then you definitely will plan to fail.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Phil.
We have one more software title to look at this afternoon. This afternoon we have with us Anne Glover, who is a teacher and author of the book, Computers and Your Kids. Welcome, Anne.
Hi, Phil.
I know that it's an issue with schools and with parents that often schools and parents want to either restrict children's access to certain programs on the computer or websites, or they want to enable the children to get to certain programs and certain websites. And I think you've got something to share with us today.
Yes, that's right. KidDesk Internet Safe is a program that protects the children from the computer and the computer from the children. So the children can't go in and use adult websites, but also they can't even go in and use your programs. So what happens is you decide what goes onto their desk. They're the only things the child can use.
So it's like a menuing system that limits them accessing your tax files and things like that, but lets them get into their favourite programs.
Very colourful and friendly for children, and it just makes the computer seem like their computer to the child. So they may turn the computer on, and if you set it up so that KidDesk loads automatically, they don't even see the Windows screen or the Macintosh desktop. It automatically goes to their desktop.
Great. So just very quickly, maybe you could show us how we could set up something in KidDesk.
All right. Okay, this is the KidDesk desk, as you can see.
Not much there at the moment,
Not
is
much there, pretty empty, but it does have a few things that we can see. There's a little mailbox. So that if you can set the KidDesk up for quite a few different users. So you may have children of different ages, or different children within a class, or different classes can have their KidDesk set up, and they can send mail to each other. They can change their desk, and they can also change the icon that they have set up for them. Now what parents or teachers need to do is now add the programs onto the desk.
Okay.
And we access that by pressing a couple of keys, Control-Alt-A. We need to remember a password that we don't tell the children, and we can immediately go on and add information to that site. So in terms of this one, we're going to add an application.
So we might have bought a new program.
That's right.
For the children to use in school or at home.
It shows us all the programs that are on our
programs that
hard
are there.
drive. We can go through and pick Carmen Sandiego, for instance, to add. To that page, we can add another one. It searches through automatically for you,
And if we
shows
go
you
back
them all,
to the desk,
and we can go back and add kid pics or whatever else you want to.
Okay.
We'll just go okay and go back here. We'll have a look at our kid desk again.
And when we start up the machine, this is what the children will see.
Children will see a list of different users. They need to find their own icon. If you have children of different ages, you can put a password on those as well.
Okay. So if we have a look at our desks. Thanks, Anne.
This one.